This Tuesday is not just another day in your life. There are days and then there are days that find you, not by accident, not by coincidence, but by design. And this Tuesday is one of them. You didn't just stumble onto this message. Out of all the noise, all the distractions, all the endless scrolling, you paused here. Something in you slowed down, leaned in, and said, listen. That feeling you can't explain, that quiet pull in your chest, that's not random, that's recognition. Because deep down, you've always known you are not like everyone else. There's a pattern to your life, moments that didn't make sense at the time. Times you felt isolated, misunderstood, even tested beyond what seemed fair. Doors that closed when you were sure they should open. People who left just when you needed them most. And yet somehow you're still here. Still standing. Still searching. Still feeling like something bigger is unfolding, but you can't quite see it yet. That's because some truths are not revealed all at once. They arrive in layers, in whispers, in perfectly timed moments. And this message right now is one of those moments. Tuesday isn't just another day on the calendar for you. It carries a weight and energy, a shift that most people will completely overlook. They'll wake up, follow their routines, and go to sleep without ever realizing that something significant passed right through their lives. But not you. You were meant to feel it. There is something unusual tied to this Tuesday, something that aligns with the journey you've been on, every struggle, every delay, every silent battle you've fought when no one else was watching. All of it has been preparing you for a moment like this. You may not see the full picture yet. In fact, you're not supposed to, not yet. Because if everything were revealed too soon, you wouldn't grow into the version of yourself that's required to receive it. Instead, what you're being given right now is a signal, a quiet but undeniable message that says pay attention. Have you noticed how certain days feel heavier than others? How sometimes you wake up with a strange sense that something is different, even if you can't explain why? That's not your imagination. That's awareness. And awareness is the first sign of awakening. This Tuesday carries that kind of energy. It's not about something loud or obvious. It's not about fireworks or dramatic signs in the sky. It's subtle, almost hidden. The kind of shift that only those who are tuned in can feel. The kind of shift that speaks directly to people like you. The ones who've been walking a path that others don't understand. You've been through things that changed you. You've seen behind illusions that others still believe in. You felt alone in rooms full of people. And yet, there's always been this quiet voice inside you, telling you to keep going. Telling you that your story isn't ordinary. That your life isn't random. That there's a purpose unfolding, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. That voice. It's getting stronger now, because something is approaching. Not something to fear, but something to recognize. A moment, a realization, an encounter, something that will test how aware you truly are. Something that will ask you, without words, are you ready to see what others cannot? And here's the truth most people will never hear. When certain days carry meaning, they don't announce themselves. They don't come with labels or warnings. They simply arrive, and those who are meant to notice. That's why you're here right now. This isn't about predicting the future. It's about preparing your spirit. Because when Tuesday comes, it won't look extraordinary on the surface. But beneath that surface, something will be shifting. A connection, a sign. A moment of clarity that feels small, but echoes deeply. You might almost miss it if you're not paying attention. But now you will. Now you've been made aware. And awareness changes everything. So as this Tuesday approaches, don't treat it like any other day. Move differently. Listen more closely. Observe what others ignore. Pay attention to the subtle shifts in your environment and within yourself. Because sometimes the most important moments in your life don't come with noise. They come with a whisper, and only the chosen hear it. You were meant to hear this before that day arrives. Not after, not too late. Right now, while there's still time to prepare your mind, your energy, your awareness. Something is aligning. Something is moving into place. And whether you fully understand it yet or not, you are a part of it. So don't dismiss this feeling. Don't brush it off. Trust that if this message reached you, it's because you were meant to receive it. And when Tuesday comes, you'll begin to understand why. Because this day was always meant to find you. You've felt it before, when something important was about to happen. Have you ever felt it before something big happened in your life? That strange, unexplainable shift. Not something you could point to, not something you could prove, but something you felt deep in your chest, in your thoughts, in the quiet moments when everything else went still. It's subtle at first, a slight change in your energy, a feeling that something is different. You wake up one morning and nothing around you has changed, but inside it has. Your mind is more alert. Your emotions feel closer to the surface. Even the smallest things seem to carry more meaning than usual. Most people ignore this. They brush it off as stress, overthinking, or just a random mood. But if you're a chosen one, you know better. Because this isn't new to you. Think back. There were moments in your past, before a major change, before a breakthrough, before something shifted your path completely, when you felt this exact same way. Before that opportunity came. Before that person entered or left your life. Before everything changed, you felt it first. Not as a loud announcement, but as a quiet signal. Your intuition spoke, long before reality caught up. That's how it works for people like you. You don't just experience life as it happens, you sense it before it unfolds. And the closer you get to a significant moment, the stronger those inner signals become. It starts with your thoughts. They become deeper, more reflective. You may find yourself questioning things you once accepted without hesitation. Old patterns start to feel uncomfortable. Conversations that used to make sense now feel empty. It's like your mind is preparing to step into a new level, but it hasn't fully arrived yet. Then come the emotions. You might feel waves of intensity without a clear reason. One moment you're calm, the next you're overwhelmed. Not necessarily in a negative way, but in a way that feels important. Like your emotions are trying to tell you something your logical mind hasn't figured out yet. There can also be a sense of restlessness. A feeling that where you are is no longer where you're meant to stay. You might feel pulled in a direction you can't explain, or pushed away from things that once felt right. It's uncomfortable, even confusing, but it's not random, it's alignment. Your inner world is shifting before your outer world catches up. And then there are the subtle signs, little things that most people would overlook. You start noticing patterns, repeating numbers, familiar phrases, certain ideas showing up again and again in different forms. You hear something that feels like it was meant specifically for you. You think about someone, and suddenly they appear or reach out. You feel drawn to a certain place, a certain decision, without knowing why. These aren't coincidences. They're reflections, mirrors of what's happening inside you. Because when something significant is approaching, your awareness sharpens. You begin to pick up on things you would normally miss. It's like your senses are tuning into a different frequency, one that reveals more than just the surface of reality. But here's the part that makes it even more powerful. These moments often come with doubt. You question yourself. Am I just overthinking? Is this real, or am I imagining it? That inner conflict is part of the process, because stepping into something new always challenges the version of you that's used to the familiar. Your intuition is guiding you forward, but your comfort zone is trying to hold you back. And in that space between the two, you feel the tension. That tension is a sign. It means something is shifting. Chosen ones don't get clear, easy paths. They get feelings, nudges, quiet signals that require trust. And the more you've experienced this in your life, the more you start to recognize the pattern. You realize that those moments of uncertainty, were actually moments of preparation. That emotional intensity was a signal of transformation. That restlessness was your spirit refusing to settle for less than what's meant for you. So if you're feeling this right now, if something inside you feels different, heightened, aware, don't ignore it. Pause for a moment. Reflect. Ask yourself, when have I felt this before? Chances are, it was right before something changed. Right before a new chapter began. Right before you stepped into a version of yourself you didn't even know you were becoming. This is how your intuition works. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It doesn't force. It nudges. And it doesn't always explain itself, but it always has a reason. You are being prepared for something. Maybe it's a decision. Maybe it's a shift in your path. Maybe it's the end of something that's no longer aligned, or the beginning of something you've been unknowingly moving toward all along. Whatever it is, your inner world already knows. That's why you feel it before you see it. That's why your emotions shift before your circumstances do. That's why your thoughts deepen before your reality expands. Because intuition isn't reacting to what's happening. It's responding to what's about to happen. And if you've been chosen to feel this, it means you're also being trusted to follow it. So don't silence that voice. Don't dismiss those feelings. Lean into them. Pay attention. Because the same intuition that's making you feel this shift is the one that will guide you through what comes next. And when it finally unfolds, when everything becomes clear, you'll look back at this moment and realize you knew all along. And this time, the feeling is stronger than ever. Not everyone will understand what you're about to experience. Have you ever felt like you see the world differently? Not better, not worse, just differently. Like you're noticing things that others walk right past, picking up on energy in a room before a single word is spoken. Sensing when something is off, even when everything looks perfectly normal on the surface. It's not something you learned. It's something you've always had. And for a long time, it probably made you feel out of place. Because when you're a chosen one, awareness comes naturally, but belonging doesn't. You start to realize early on that you don't experience life the same way most people do. Conversations that seem normal to others feel shallow to you. Situations that don't bother anyone else stay in your mind long after they've moved on. You read between the lines, you hear what isn't being said, and you feel what others try to hide. That kind of perception can be isolating, because how do you explain something that others can't even see? You've probably tried before. Tried to point something out. Tried to express a feeling. Tried to explain why something didn't feel right. And instead of understanding, you were met with confusion or dismissal. You're overthinking. You're too sensitive. It's not that deep. But you knew. Even when you couldn't prove it, even when you didn't have the words, you knew. And over time, you learn to stay quiet about certain things, to observe more than you speak, to trust your inner voice, even when no one else validates it. That's the path of someone who is different, not loud, not obvious, but deeply aware. Your awareness isn't just about what you see, it's about how you perceive. You notice patterns, you recognize cycles, you start to understand people beyond their words, beyond their actions. You can feel intentions. You can sense shifts in energy before anything physically changes. It's like you're tuned into a frequency that others haven't discovered yet, and that can feel lonely. Because while others are reacting to what's happening, you're already processing what it means. While they're focused on the surface, you're drawn to what's beneath it. And sometimes, that gap between you and everyone else feels wider than you expected. There are moments when you wish you could just switch it off. Stop noticing so much. Stop feeling so deeply. Stop seeing things for what they really are. But you can't. Because this isn't a burden. It's a gift, a powerful one, even if it didn't feel like it at first. Because this level of awareness gives you something most people don't have: clarity. Not immediate clarity, but deep, unfolding clarity. the kind that reveals itself over time, showing you why certain things happened, why certain people came and went, why certain paths opened while others closed. You begin to see that your difference isn't random. It's purposeful. You weren't meant to move through life blindly. You were meant to notice, to question, to feel, to understand, and yes, sometimes to stand alone. But here's what most people don't realize. Isolation is often the space where awareness grows strongest. When you're not constantly influenced by others, you start to hear yourself more clearly. Your intuition sharpens. Your perception deepens. You begin to trust what you sense even without external confirmation. That's where your power begins to form. Quietly, steadily, unseen by most. And then, there are moments when that difference becomes impossible to ignore. Moments when everything around you seems normal to everyone else. But to you, something feels heightened. Sharper. More intense, like your awareness is being turned up, not down. This Tuesday carries that kind of energy. It's not just another day for you. It's a moment that will reflect your difference back to you in a way that's hard to dismiss. You may notice things others don't, feel shifts that no one else acknowledges, pick up on signs, patterns, or realizations that seem invisible to those around you. And in that moment, you might feel that familiar sense of separation again. That quiet thought, why am I the only one seeing this? But this time, don't question it. Don't shrink it. Don't try to explain it away. Because this isn't about fitting in. It's about recognizing who you are. You were never meant to experience life the way everyone else does. You were meant to see more, understand more, feel more, and yes, sometimes carry the weight of that awareness alone. But that weight, it comes with strength. Because when you see what others don't, you're also able to move differently, to make choices based on insight, not impulse, to avoid what isn't aligned and recognize what is, even when it's not obvious. That's power. Not loud, not flashy, but real. So when Tuesday comes, pay attention to how you feel. Notice what stands out to you. Trust what your perception is telling you, even if it doesn't make sense right away. Because moments like this are reminders. Reminders that your difference is real, that your awareness is valid, that your way of seeing the world isn't something to hide, it's something to understand. You are not imagining it. You are not too much. You are not too different. You are exactly as you were meant to be. And the more you accept that, the more your isolation turns into clarity, and your clarity turns into power. And that's exactly why this moment matters. There's something hidden behind this day, and it's not obvious. There is more happening around you than you can see. Not everything announces itself. Not everything reveals its purpose the moment it appears. Some things move quietly, beneath the surface, hidden in plain sight. And if you've been paying attention to your life, really paying attention, you've already felt this before. Moments that seemed ordinary at first, but later revealed themselves to be turning points. A conversation that didn't feel important in the moment, yet stayed with you long after it ended. A random encounter that somehow led to something much bigger. A feeling you couldn't explain, that turned out to be right. These are not accidents, they are layers. Because reality, as most people experience it, is only the surface. What you see, what you hear, what you touch, that's just the outer shell. Beneath it, there are patterns forming, connections aligning, and forces moving in ways that aren't immediately visible. Most people live their entire lives focused only on what's obvious. They take things at face value. They hear words, but don't question the meaning behind them. They see events, but don't look for the connections between them. And because of that, they miss what's really happening. But you don't. You've always had a sense that there's more. That something exists beyond the surface of things. That life isn't just random moments strung together, but something deeper, more intentional, more designed. That feeling isn't something you imagined. It's awareness. An awareness that allows you to notice what others overlook, to feel what isn't being said, to sense when something carries weight, even if it looks small. And right now that awareness is being called forward, because this Tuesday is not as simple as it seems. On the surface, it will look like any other day. People will follow their routines. Conversations will happen like they always do. Nothing will appear unusual to the untrained eye. But beneath that surface, something is shifting. Not loudly, not dramatically, but subtly, in ways that only those who are paying attention will recognize. There may be moments that feel strangely significant. A sentence someone says that seems ordinary, but hits you differently. An interaction that lingers in your mind longer than it should. A sudden thought, a memory, or an idea that seems to come out of nowhere. These are not random, they are signals. Not everything is meant to be understood instantly. Some things are meant to be felt first and understood later. That's how deeper meaning works. It doesn't force itself into your awareness. It waits for you to notice. And when you do, it begins to unfold. You may find yourself replaying certain moments from that day, looking back and realizing that something small wasn't so small after all. That a simple exchange carried a message. That a brief encounter shifted something inside you. That a feeling you almost ignored was actually guiding you, because unseen forces don't operate in obvious ways. They move through timing, through alignment, through subtle nudges that lead you exactly where you need to be, without ever forcing you to go there. And the more aware you are, the more you begin to recognize this pattern. You start to see how things connect, how one moment leads to another, how certain people enter your life at very specific times, for reasons you only understand later, how even the things that seem inconvenient, unexpected, or confusing play a role in something bigger. That's the layer most people never reach, because it requires patience, it requires trust, and most of all it requires attention. This Tuesday will test that. It will ask, without words, are you paying attention? Not to everything, but to the right things. To the moments that feel different. To the signals that don't quite make sense yet. To the quiet shifts in your thoughts, your emotions, your environment. Because hidden meaning doesn't reveal itself to those who rush. It reveals itself to those who observe. To those who pause long enough to notice that something feels off, or deeper, or more significant than it appears. And here's the truth. You don't need to understand everything right away. In fact, you're not supposed to. Some meanings unfold over time. Some realizations come later, when you have the perspective to see them clearly. But the first step is always the same. Noticing, feeling, recognizing that something is there, even if you can't explain it yet. So when Tuesday comes, don't just move through it automatically. Be present. Listen more carefully. Watch more closely. Pay attention not just to what is happening, but to how it feels. Because sometimes, the most important messages in your life don't come in obvious forms. They come disguised as ordinary moments, hidden in conversations, wrapped inside small events, carried through people who may not even realize the role they're playing. And if you're aware enough, you'll catch them. You'll feel when something carries more weight than it should. You'll recognize when a moment is asking you to look deeper. You'll sense when something unseen is quietly guiding your path. That's not coincidence. That's connection. A connection between what is visible and what is not, between what is happening and what it means. And the more you trust that connection, the clearer everything becomes. Not all at once, but piece by piece, layer by layer, until one day you look back at moments like this Tuesday and realize that what seemed ordinary was never ordinary at all. It was a doorway. You just had to notice it. And one small moment will reveal everything. At first, it will feel like a normal day. Not every important moment in your life begins with a loud signal. There are no alarms, no flashing lights, no clear announcement that says, "This is it, pay attention." In fact, the most important moments often begin in the quietest ways. So quiet you could easily miss them. It might start like any other day. You wake up, The world looks the same, nothing seems different on the surface. The routine feels familiar, almost automatic. But somewhere, beneath that normal rhythm, something has already begun to shift. Not around you, within you. At first, it's barely noticeable. A slight change in your mood. Not negative, not even clearly positive, just different. A subtle sense that something is off, or maybe about to be. You can't explain it, and if someone asked, you wouldn't know what to say. But you feel it, and that feeling stays with you. As the day moves forward, small things begin to stand out. Things that normally wouldn't catch your attention, suddenly do. A sentence someone says that lingers longer than it should. A look, a tone. A pause in a conversation that feels more significant than the words themselves. You might brush it off at first. Tell yourself it's nothing, but then it happens again. Another moment, another subtle shift, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the ordinary begins to feel layered. You're still moving through your day, still doing what you always do, but your awareness is changing. It's as if something inside you is becoming more alert, more tuned in. You start noticing patterns, timing that feels too precise, moments that seem to align just a little too perfectly. And with that awareness comes an emotional shift. Not overwhelming, but undeniable. You may feel more reflective than usual. Your thoughts drift deeper. Things from your past come to mind for no clear reason. Memories, questions, unfinished thoughts. They rise to the surface like they've been waiting for this exact moment. It's not random. It's preparation. Because important moments don't just happen to you. They begin within you. Long before anything changes on the outside. As the hours pass, there may be an interaction you didn't expect. A conversation that seems casual at first, but carries something beneath it. Maybe it's something someone says, or something they don't say. Maybe it's the way it makes you feel afterward, like it meant more than it appeared to. You might replay it in your mind. Wonder why it stuck with you, and that's when the shift deepens. Because now it's no longer just a feeling. It's a question. Why did that matter? And questions like that don't come without reason. They're signals. Signals that something is unfolding quietly, patiently, just beneath your full understanding. At this point, you may feel a slight tension inside, not fear, not anxiety, but a kind of anticipation, like standing on the edge of something, without knowing what it is yet. You sense that something is building, not in a dramatic way, but in a steady, almost invisible progression, moment by moment, thought by thought, feeling by feeling. And the interesting thing is, if you weren't paying attention, none of this would stand out. It would all pass as just another day, another routine, another set of ordinary events. But because you are paying attention, it feels different, more alive, more intentional. As the day continues, you may notice your instincts becoming sharper. You hesitate before making certain decisions, not out of doubt, but out of awareness. You feel guided to pause, to think, to observe just a little longer than usual. And in that pause something clicks, not fully, not completely, but enough. A realization begins to form. It might be small at first, just a shift in perspective. A new way of seeing something that's been in your life all along. But it carries weight, because you didn't force it. It arrived, quietly, just like everything else. And that's when the suspense reaches its peak. Because now, you know, without knowing exactly how, that this day is not as ordinary as it seemed. That all these subtle changes, the emotional shifts, the unexpected interactions, the quiet realizations are connected, leading somewhere. But where? That part isn't revealed yet. And it's not supposed to be, because the power of these moments isn't in immediate clarity. It's in the unfolding, in the way everything builds slowly, layer by layer, until eventually it becomes undeniable. Until you look back and realize that what felt like small, insignificant moments were actually the beginning of something much bigger. Something that started so quietly, you almost missed it. But you didn't. You noticed. You felt it. You stayed present long enough to recognize that something was different. And that's what sets these moments apart. They don't need to be loud to be powerful. They don't need to be obvious to be life-changing. They just need your awareness. Because when you're aware, even the quietest beginnings can lead to the most profound transformations. So if today feels slightly different, if something seems just a little off or deeper or more meaningful than usual, don't ignore it. Don't rush past it. Stay with it. Observe it. Let it unfold. Because you might be standing at the very beginning of something important. And it all started in silence. Until something happens that you can't ignore. If you're hearing this, you were meant to be ready. And now you understand a little more than you did before. Not everything. Not all at once. But enough to feel it. Enough to recognize that something in your life is not random, and never has been. Because when you step back and really look at your journey, the moments that shaped you, the challenges that tested you, the paths that opened and closed without explanation, you begin to see a pattern. A quiet, consistent thread running through everything. Guidance, not always obvious, not always easy, but always there. There were times you thought you were lost, but somehow you found your way. Times you felt alone, but something inside you kept you moving forward. Times when things didn't go as planned, and later you realized they unfolded exactly as they needed to. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's protection. You have been guided more than you realize, even in the moments that felt confusing, even in the moments that felt heavy, even in the moments when nothing made sense. Something has been watching over your path, not in a way that removes every challenge, but in a way that ensures every challenge has meaning. Because you were never meant to live an ordinary life. You were meant to become aware of something deeper, stronger, more real than what most people ever see, and that awareness is not given to everyone. It comes with responsibility. It comes with moments of isolation. It comes with questions that don't always have immediate answers. But it also comes with power. A quiet, steady power that grows the more you trust it, the more you listen to yourself, the more you allow your intuition to guide you, even when the path ahead isn't fully clear. You've felt it before. That inner voice, that subtle knowing, that feeling that tells you when something is right and when it isn't. That's not something to doubt. That's something to trust. Because it has been guiding you long before you realized it was there. And it will continue to guide you into what's coming next. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to see the entire path. You only need to stay aware, present, open, because what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased. It aligns. It reveals itself, step by step, moment by moment, in ways that feel natural, even when they're unexpected. And yes, there may still be moments of uncertainty, moments where you question what you feel, moments where the world around you seems out of sync with what you sense inside. But that doesn't mean you're off track. It often means you're exactly where you need to be, right on the edge of something new. Something that requires you to trust yourself at a deeper level than before. That's where growth happens. That's where transformation begins. Not in certainty, but in trust. So as you move forward into the next moments, the next days, the next experiences, carry this awareness with you. You are not walking blindly. You are not navigating this life alone. You are being guided, quietly, consistently, in ways that may not always be visible but are always present. And you are protected, not from every difficulty, but from anything that is not meant to break you. Everything you've faced has shaped you, strengthened you, prepared you, and everything that is coming is part of that same process. So don't resist it. Don't fear it. Embrace it, even if you don't fully understand it yet, because you are not here by accident. You are not experiencing these feelings, these realizations, these moments of awareness, without reason. You are meant to be here, in this moment, at this point in your journey, ready, whether you feel like it or not, for what comes next, and when things begin to unfold as they will. Remember this feeling, this quiet sense of knowing, this calm understanding that something bigger is at work. Let it ground you. Let it remind you that you don't need to force anything. You don't need to rush. You only need to stay aligned with yourself, to trust what you feel, to move with awareness. Because the more you do that, the clearer everything becomes. Not all at once, but in time, in layers, in moments that reveal themselves exactly when you're ready to understand them. You are chosen, not in a way that separates you from others, but in a way that calls you to see more, feel more, and understand more. And that calling is not something to ignore, it's something to accept, to grow into, to honor. So stand in it, quietly, confidently, without needing validation from anyone else. Because the truth is, you've already been receiving the signs. You've already been feeling the shifts. You've already been guided to this exact moment. And that's not where it ends. That's where it begins. So stay aware, stay open. Stay true to what you feel, even when it doesn't make sense to anyone else. Because what's coming is not Yudovavi. It's alignment. And you are exactly where you're meant to be. Tuesday will pass, but what it reveals will stay with you forever.